Hey y'all, I'm Hope. Welcome back to my channel. This vlog is incredibly impromptu because it is currently November 28th, which means I have 3 days, including today, left in the month, which means I should be gearing up for December, which I've been very excited about because Reindeer Readathon is happening once again this year, and I have always enjoyed participating in that. So I'm very excited. I have my TBR kind of all picked out. I think that should have gone up a little while ago. I've completely forgotten at this point. We've reached a part of the year where all the weeks are bleeding together and I don't really have a good sense of time. Anyway, that TBR should be up, and I am like very excited for that, but I have so many things I want or need to finish before November ends in preparation for December. So I'm gonna take the next few days and try to finish them, is what we're gonna do. This has worked for me before. I've done a couple of these like short, very sudden, like, oh, I need to finish something in like X amount of time vlogs. I've done a few of these. Usually it works in my favor, so we're gonna hope that that trend holds and that I'm really productive over the next couple of days. So that's what we're doing here today. And I am proud to report that I did just finish one of the books that was on my list, which Midnight is the Darkest Hour. I just finished this maybe half an hour ago. I'm blown away by this book. I fucking loved this. The writing in here is beautiful. I think the characters are really complex and messy in a really interesting way. And there's so many like different topics happening here, but they get woven together in such a skillful way that I was just blown away by this whole book. I was enchanted the whole time I was reading this. And I feel like I need to buy a copy of this at some point. This is a library book that I have to return today, actually. And I feel like I need to get a copy of this at some point to reread and annotate, because there were so many lines in here that just made me like pause and have to think about them for a little bit. And I ended up tearing up several times reading this. And when I got to the very end, I just kind of sat here dumbfounded at my desk for a few minutes. So I loved this. I'm not sure yet if it's going to be a 4.5 or a 5 star. I think it's maybe just slightly missing the mark of 5 star for me because there are a couple of things that I didn't love, but like they're such small things that they didn't take away from my enjoyment of the book as a whole, and I really like the project of this book and what it's doing. So I loved this. I cannot more highly recommend this. This was my first Ashley Winstead book, and I will definitely be going back to read her other 2 releases that I am aware of that are thrillers. I think she's also written some romance, I think. Maybe I'm getting author names mixed up. I think she's written a romance. But she has In My Dreams I Hold a Knife and The Last Housewife. Those 2 I also want to read because I really enjoyed this one. So I'm really glad I finished this. This is one I've been kind of chipping away at for the last little while. I was hoping to read this one very quickly, but actually it took a lot more of my attention than I anticipated. And I'm glad that I took the time to devote that attention to it because it was so good. But that means that I am now down to 3 days to finish the rest of the things I need to read. So like, I had another library book, Knock Knock Open Wide. I'm not going to be finishing this one. I already know this. My goal here was that I wanted to finish this and 3 others after I got to this one, because that would put me at 60 books for the year, and I am very behind on my Goodreads goal. And that was the goal. I'm not going to be getting to this one. This one's due tomorrow, and I could renew it again, but it'd be like my 3rd time renewing it, and I feel like what I need to do, especially with so many books in my TBR for December, is just like turn this one back in and come back to it when I actually have the time to devote to it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and turn this one in and put it back in my wish list for the library and try to check it out again later, probably in like January. So I'm kind of letting that one go. The other things I want to read though, I have one more library book that I need to get to, and this one I'll do today. It's very short. It's just Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 4. My library finally got them, got the next volume in. So I have that as an ebook, and I'm going to be reading that later today. I'd been waiting for quite a while for them to get more volumes because they had volumes like 1 to 3, but they didn't have any more than that. So now they have, I think, 4 to like 4 to like 15 or something. They got several volumes, and I'm looking forward to reading more of that because I did really enjoy volumes 1 and 2 and 3. Sorry, I'm tripping over my own words because I am like frantically trying to get through this for some reason. Let me slow down a little bit. I'm gonna read Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 4. And I'm really looking forward to this, even though I don't really remember much of Volume 3 at this point because it's been months since I read it. But I'm looking forward to diving back into this series. I really think it's fun, and I've been having a lot of fun reading it. So that's one thing I know I'm going to be getting to, which is kind of replacing for me in terms of my like numerical goals. That's kind of replacing Knock Knock Open Wide for this right now. Then I also am still reading, and have been reading for like 2 months now, The Ex-Hex by Erin Sterling. I'm enjoying this. I'm not finding myself being drawn to it when I'm not reading it, which is a problem. So what I need to do is just buckle down and read this book. So this might be something else that I work on later today, because I basically have my afternoon free after this. So I'm probably going to run to the library to return these two and then try to get through at least Jujutsu Kaisen and maybe this, because I'm like halfway. It goes by really quickly when I'm reading it, and I'm really liking the characters. I think their romance is really sweet, and it's doing some interesting things with their kind of shared history. But I think that the fantasy elements aren't really working for me, because it just feels like none of the stakes matter. There's nothing really like at stake for them other than their relationship, and so I'm not totally convinced by that. But I am enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to finishing it so I can finally have it off of my currently reading, since I've been reading it for 2 months and it's only like a 300-page book. And then the last thing I really need to get to before the semester ends, technically true because tomorrow's the last day of classes technically, but before the month ends, I really need to get to A Restless Truth by Freya Marske. This is the second book in the last binding, and I'm planning to read the third book, A Power Unbound, in December for one of the prompts for Reindeer Readathon. So I definitely need to be getting to this one, and it's one I'm super excited to read. This is a fantasy romance with a murder mystery in it, and I love the first book in the series, which is also a fantasy romance with a murder mystery. I know there's like an overarching plot, plus these kind of like individual mysteries that slot into everything, and then the romances are supposed to be excellent. I loved the first book and the romance between those two main characters, Robin and Edwin. This one has Maud, who is one of my favorite characters in the first book, so I'm excited to see her get her romance now, and I believe she ends up in a relationship with a woman named Violet, and they are solving this mystery together. And then the third book is following two other characters, one I haven't met yet, and one who was only briefly in the first book, and he's kind of an asshole there, so I'm interested to see how Freya Marske is going to like alter my perception of that character, or like give me a new understanding of him. So I'm very excited to be getting into this one. It's gonna take me a little bit because I remember this having pretty lush writing that took me a while to read in A Marvelous Light, so I definitely need to devote a good chunk of time to this. Difficult when I have 3 days left, but those are kind of the main things I want to try and get to. The goal really is to kind of clear some stuff off my currently reading, make some series progress in preparation for December, and get to 60 books so that I can be a little bit more on track with my Goodreads goal. My goal was really to read 73 books this year, and I'm currently sitting at 57, having just finished Midnight is the Darkest Hour. So I think if I could get to 60, I might be able to read 73. Which would be equal to the same number of books I read last year, which I think would be really cool. It's not like it's the end of the world if I don't reach it, but I want to give myself like a fighting chance. So that's what we're doing. I'm gonna go return some books to the library, and I'll be back later when I have probably when I finished Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 4, but we'll see what else I get into in the next couple of days. For the most part, I think I'm just gonna be kind of like reading and hanging out. I've been doing some job applications, things like that. So I think it's gonna be a fairly chill couple of days, which is, I think, exactly what I need to get through all of this. So we'll see what I actually accomplish. Probably doesn't look like time has passed, but it has. It's several hours later, and I've had a very productive afternoon. I went to the library and turned in those couple of library books. I came home and filmed a video for Saturday, which is going to be my Goodreads choice, kind of reacting to the second round and looking to see if my predictions for the top 10 were correct. So that was a lot of fun to film. I really enjoyed that, and I'm excited for that to go up on Saturday. You'll be seeing that first, I think. I think this is going to go out next Tuesday, so you'll be seeing this video second. But I did that, and it was a lot of fun to film. And then I also have just now finished reading Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 4, which is subtitled I'm Gonna Kill You, which is very accurate to the contents of the volume. I'm enjoying this series. It's very silly. It's an interesting like tone to it, because there's these moments where it tackles some really tough topics, but all of the characters are very over the top and silly. So it's this very interesting tone because those two things are kind of being juxtaposed against each other. And I'm really enjoying this. I just read Volume 4. I think my library has several more volumes, so I'm gonna keep reading it that way. But I'm enjoying this. It's fun, it's silly, and I never quite know what to say about the story because I feel like each volume I never remember what the story is, and then I jump back in and it takes me like a good chapter to kind of get reacquainted with all the characters and kind of what's going on. So I'm always a little bit lost, and so there's these like big dramatic moments. This might be because I'm not reading them like back to back, but there's these like big dramatic moments where like the start of a volume, almost every volume starts with like a really dramatic first chapter. And then I'm just kind of like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know who these people are. So I think I'm kind of missing something there, but I am really enjoying the characters. They're all very silly, And there are these like really heartfelt moments at times. Like there's one in this volume where we start to learn a little bit more about Nanami, who's one of the sorcerers. He's very much a fan favorite. I've seen lots of cosplays of him, but he's this really interesting character in that like he's the most kind of serious character in the cast so far. And he has this interesting section here where he's kind of talking about why he does what he does, why he's a Jujutsu sorcerer, because we know from volume 2 or 3 that he like briefly left and has come back. I don't feel like that's spoilers, it's mentioned like the second he shows up, but we get more information on kind of like why he left and why he came back and why he now does what he does, why he's protecting Yuji at various points, things like that. And I think that his backstory is really touching and really interesting, and the way that his work as a sorcerer is important to him. And then I also think he has some interesting things to say at the end of this about like people. There's a little bit of a discussion about like death and how like particularly Yuji has this view of death as like good people should die natural deaths and bad people should be punished. And I think that Nanami has some very interesting things to say about that and makes some good points that I think Yuji kind of has to like sit with for a while after that. So I am really enjoying it, and it has these like really touching moments that I really like and some characters that I really like, and I'm like not wanting bad things to happen to them. But also I always feel a little bit like lost and confused when I read a new volume because I'm just like, I don't really understand what's going on, but it's fine, I'm having a good time. So I think I'm gonna rate this one 3.5 stars. I think I've been giving them about 3 stars on average, and I think I'm gonna give this one that extra half star for the Nanami section in this volume. But I'm glad to have done that because now I can return that to the library as well, and that puts me at I think 58 books for the year so far, so I'm inching closer to my goals. It also means that now the only things I need to read for the end of the month are the Ex-Hex and Restless Truth, which are both kind of witchy fantasy romances, but like of a very different kind, where I think this one skews more as a contemporary romance with some witchy elements. This one is much more a fantasy book with a romance in it. And like the romance is still central here, but like I think this one skews a lot more to the fantasy side, whereas this one skews a lot more to the contemporary side. I'm interested to read these back to back because I think that's going to be an interesting comparison. I'm not sure yet if I want to just try and power through the Ex-Hex and then start this one, or if I want to go ahead and start this tonight, because this one's going to take me a little bit longer. It is a little bit longer, and I know that now I'm down to like this evening, tomorrow, and Thursday, which would be the 30th, I think. Yeah, correct. And I have a couple of other things I need to do in the next couple of days as well. I'm going to be doing some laundry. I started that. That's the other thing I did today. It's my other productive thing. I started that, so I'm going to be doing laundry in the next couple of days because I'm going to be visiting my partner over the weekend for the 1st and 2nd, or the 1st to the 3rd, I guess. Yeah, because Friday is the 1st. So I'm going to be visiting him for a few days, and I need to get like clothes clean so I can pack stuff, and I also need to bake a cake because I'm going over to celebrate his birthday, which is this week, and I'm gonna take over a cake that I made last year that he really liked, and that means I need to go ahead and like brown some butter because I made a browned butter Swiss meringue buttercream for it. It was really good. It's a recipe I've been kind of toying with for a few years. It's originally the Preppy Kitchen caramel spice apple cake or something. I can't remember the exact title, but I'll link the recipe in the description because I think it's a really delicious cake. I've been tweaking the recipe a little bit every year because I think the original version is too sweet for my tastes because it's kind of got a lot going on. It's an apple cake that has then like a browned buttercream on it, and then homemade caramel sauce, which is really good. But I think that the original calls for like an American buttercream, which is really sweet. It has like a pound of powdered sugar in it. And there's I've been using instead a Swiss meringue buttercream. I did this last year and this worked really well, where I still browned my butter for that, but it's more butter than sugar, so you end up with this like really light, not overly sweet frosting, and I think that really helped. It was probably the best version of this I've made so far. I've been making it every year since like 2019 or something, so it's my favorite apple cake recipe, and I've been just kind of tweaking it here and there until I get it to be like the perfect apple cake for me. So I'm gonna be making that for his birthday and taking that over. I think I'm gonna take like the individual pieces. I'm gonna go ahead and make my frosting and make the cakes and then like wrap them up really tight and then drive them over on Friday and assemble them when I get to his apartment. So I think that's kind of the plan at the moment, but I need to get that done as well. So I've got still a good chunk of things I need to get done in the next couple of days, but having finished Midnight is the Darkest Hour, turned in Knock Knock Open Wide, and finished Jujutsu Kaisen Volume 4, I'm feeling a little bit like I'm more caught up, so that's good. I think I'm probably going to read some more this evening, but I don't know how much I'm going to read this evening, so I probably won't check in again today, because at some point I think I'm going to swap over and just play some games for a little bit. I played a lot of Baldur's Gate last night, but I think I might play a different game this evening, because I want to play Dracula Origin, which is an older game from one of my favorite developers, which is Frogwares. They have this like really fantastic series of Sherlock Holmes games. This is one of their older games that's a like Dracula retelling that I'm very curious to play. So I started it the other day. I'm only like 5 minutes in, so it took me a while to get the game running. So I might play that, or I might also play Frog Detective, which just sounds fun and charming. So I'm probably going to do something like that later this evening, but I feel like I've made good progress today, and I am more hopeful going into these last 2 days of the month that I might be able to get some more done. Well, I lied. I did not play anything. I did in fact keep reading. Not very much though, but I did start Restless Truth, and I'm really liking this so far. I'm in chapter 3, I think. I'm only like, I don't know, like 20 pages in or something, but the opening chapter, really good. We meet the murder victim, who is at the center of this whole investigation, and it was one of those like, I really like her, I'm kind of sad I know she's going to die. But we meet the murder victim, and then immediately afterwards we get introduced to one of the two protagonists of this book, which is Maud Blythe. I love her. She's great in the first book in this series, and now I'm so excited that she gets her own book because she's fantastic. She is just like so determined and so, I'm not sure how to describe it. Resourceful, maybe, is the word I'm looking for. Like, she just kind of takes a situation and is like, okay, this is a situation that I'm in, that I've got to deal with. I'm gonna figure it out. And I really like her, and there's a lot to do with her relationship with her brother in the first chapter that she is in. And Robin is also great. I love him in the first book, so immediately glad to be back in this world, excited to see where all this is going to go. But again, I'm only like a few pages in. I was sitting down to read and it hit me that I'm very tired. So I think I'm actually just going to go to bed early, try to get some sleep, and then I'll probably try to read some more tomorrow morning. I've got a meeting not first thing tomorrow. I have a meeting that I need to do some planning for first thing. That's what I'm trying to come up with. And then I'm gonna go to work, have that meeting, and then probably come home, do some laundry, read, that kind of thing. Well, it is the 29th. It is Wednesday, and it has immediately not gone to plan. The video that I was planning to edit today for Saturday, because I'm gonna be out of town, didn't work. My recording lost all of the audio, so I had to re-record it. I've just done that. I'm working on editing it now, and I'm, making some progress on that. It's about 5:30. I did have a good thing happen today, but it has also altered my plans. So, video conundrum aside, I got an introductory interview for a job that I applied for like last week, and I'm very excited about it. I'm also very nervous about it. It's just like a short phone interview, 30 minutes, so nothing like too outrageous, nothing too scary, but I'm definitely nervous, and now I need to put some time aside to prep for that. So there goes more of my planned reading time. I'm gonna be doing some laundry this evening, so I'm gonna do some reading while I do that. But yeah, this day has definitely not gone the way I planned, the way I intended. So we'll see how much I get done at this point, but I am excited that I got an interview. I think that's, a good step in the right direction. It's not the job that I am the most excited about, but it is one that I think would be a really great opportunity if I were to get it. So I'm looking forward to this interview tomorrow as much as I'm scared for it. So I'm gonna be doing that, and now I'm just gonna go finish this video. I'm partway through the edit right now, but just needed to take a moment to be like, everything fell apart today, but also in kind of like good ways in some ways. I don't know. It's been a weird day. Also, it was the last day of classes, so I'm shifting my work schedule a little bit so I can have my afternoons open a little bit more. I'm gonna be working 9 to 1 on my days that I go into the office, and then 8 to noon on the days that I work from home through end of next week, which is the end of the graduate office assistant work schedule for fall. So I'll be done after next Friday, and then I will be just kind of free for 3 weeks, working on stuff, reading, working on thesis stuff mostly. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. But hooray, interview, yikes on the video thing, but it's all gonna be fine, and I'm hopefully still gonna get something done. I think now, because I have that kind of shift, I'm gonna really focus on reading A Restless Truth, which I did started annotating. I think I mentioned this already, but I think I'm gonna focus in on reading this one just because I'm planning to read A Power Unbound, whereas like the Ex-Hex, as much as I would like to be done with it, it's not preventing me from reading another book on my December TBR. So I think I am gonna focus in on A Restless Truth. I'm also just really liking Freya Marsk's writing in The Restless Truth, so I'm enjoying reading it. So we're gonna go with that. It's the last day of November. I'm definitely not finishing both of these because I have laundry to do, and I need to bake a cake because I am making a cake for my partner's birthday. I'm going to visit him over the weekend, and I'm taking a cake. So it's gonna be a busy day. I'm doing laundry. I'm gonna be baking a cake later this afternoon. I got all my ingredients pulled together yesterday, so like we're ready to go there. It reminds me I need to go put some butter. No, I don't have to soften butter. I've saved myself having to soften butter, I just realized, by choosing to make a different kind of buttercream. So all is well. I don't need to put anything out. We're good. I will hopefully get some reading done somewhere in the day. I'm just not sure when or where that reading time is going to come. I'm sure there's going to be some. My plan at lunchtime is that I need to spend a little bit of time researching the company that I'm interviewing with. It's just like a short introductory interview. It's going to be very brief. So I'm not like hugely concerned about doing a lot of prep right now, but I want to have like a little bit kind of written down, set aside, ready to go in case I need to be like, yes, here's what I know about the company. So that's where I'm at for the day. This last bit of the month has taken quite a turn from what I was anticipating. Not a bad turn, just a turn. And it's not as much reading is happening as I had hoped. Although, you know, I finished 2 out of the 4 that I wanted to finish. So we're getting there. But yeah, it's been an interesting couple of days. Also because they've just both come in here. Cats. They both came flying in to get in the window because I really like when the window is open. So my interview went pretty well. It's an immediate no because they want someone who can start earlier than I can, but it was good practice, and the hiring manager was able to give me some good information about their kind of typical hiring timelines and some of the company culture, things like that. So I got some good information out of it. She was very friendly, and she encouraged me to keep looking and see what other opportunities they have come available since I'm now in their like talent system, their talent pool system thing. So I'm gonna be continuing to look, see if they have anything come available later, because it sounds like it'd be a pretty good place to work. And I noticed that they had quite a few positions open, so I know now to like look a little closer to graduation for that particular company. Their hiring process is not as long as some of the other places around here, so it's all good information, it's all good practice, and I'm glad that it went fairly well. So that is done, and now my plan next was to go bake a cake, but I'm actually not going to be making an apple cake because I developed a headache this morning. I managed to kind of push through for the interview, but I don't feel great right now, and I'm gonna instead make a snacking cake. I think I do want to take something over to my partner's apartment for his birthday, but I think I want to make him some sort of snacking cake. I'm gonna go see what my options are and what I have ingredients for, whether I need to like make a quick run to the store to grab anything, and make a snacking cake because it'll be like a much easier cake to kind of transport as well, because they're like small 9-inch square cakes. So that'll be a lot easier to carry anyway. I won't have to like take a hand mixer to go whip up buttercream again when I get over there. So that's, I think, the new plan. I did just talk to him. I'm trying to get some information on like what flavors of cake you might be interested in having if I'm not bringing an apple cake. So we will see on that once I get a response from him. And then I'm also just kind of finishing up laundry and I'm gonna be chilling for a while, hopefully getting rid of this headache. I took some medicine this morning and it just hasn't quite done anything about it, so I'm coming up to when I can take another dose. So we will see if that helps. I'm also going to be doing some more reading. I did get a little bit further in Restless Truth. Not very, I'm on like chapter 6. But I'm loving this. I love the characters in this so much. Maud is so determined. She's so cheerful. She is unflappable in a really fun way. Like, things happen that are crazy and weird and uncomfortable, and she just pushes through, and I really love her for it. And then Violet is really fun. She's really witty. She's much more kind of experienced in the world than Maud is. She knows a lot more people. She's really charming and good at talking to people. And I think they're going to make a really interesting duo. I'm excited to see how they're going to tackle this mystery. And then they're also getting some help from a guy named Lord Hawthorne, who's in the first book. And he's an asshole in the first book. He's only there for a few pages, but he's showing up more here. And I get the sense that he's going to be in a like begrudging friendship with these two women. And I'm really interested to see where that's going to go because he is so grumpy in comparison to their fairly like cheerful personalities. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen with him. The mystery hasn't really picked up too much yet just because I'm still very early in. But I just love Freya Marsk's writing, and I've been annotating already. I'm mostly just highlighting lines that I really like and tabbing them so I can come back to them. That's typically what I annotate in a book like this anyway. Putting some little notes in the margins of things that I like or thoughts that I have. That's pretty much it. But that's, I think, what I'm going to do once I finish baking a snacking cake and while I'm working on laundry. So I'm just going to try and get through as much of this today as I can because it's the last day of the month. And therefore my last opportunity to read it in time to read Power Unbound in December. At this point I've accepted that I'm probably not going to get through both of these. I may not even get through just this one, but I'm okay with taking Restless Truth into December. I'll probably take that with me to my partner's house and work on reading it some over the weekend. And then I will be prepared when I get back to really start in on my December TBR. I'm okay with that. It's, you know, it's just gonna be what it's gonna be, and I'm really liking it so far. So I think that's what I'm gonna do this evening once I kind of finish with my other things that I need to get done. Well, it's much later now and I haven't read anymore. I'm still dealing with a headache. It will not go away. So I think I'm giving in. I'm accepting defeat. But that's okay. I still am glad that I got 2 of the 4 books I intended to read before the month done. Words, they're hard. I'm glad that I got at least a couple of them done. I will be carrying these 2 over into December, but I'm really enjoying Restless Truth, so I think this isn't going to take me that long to get through. So it'll be fine. I'm going to take that with me over the weekend while I visit my partner, and I'll have something to like read in the evenings when we're hanging around his apartment. So it'll be fine. It'll be good. It's all going to work out. And that's the hopes that I'm taking with me into December. For now though, I'm gonna go crash and see if I can get rid of this headache. It's time for me to take another dose of medicine, so I'm gonna hopefully get rid of this before I go to bed. And I'm gonna try and go to bed fairly early so that I can be ready for work tomorrow, because I moved my work hours up a little bit since classes have ended. So I think that is pretty much all I have for you today. I really hope you've enjoyed this video, even though it was not as successful as I had hoped. And if you have, I hope you'll consider giving it a like, maybe even subscribing to see what comes next. I'm currently posting every Tuesday and Saturday, so there is more content coming soon, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.